Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up tonight, it's $1,000 or jail for antigen test dodgers. Meanwhile, 7 people arrested in Grand Bahama after a police operation. And a couple fitness instructors say it's not too late to shine in 2021. Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, it's $1,000 or jail for travelers who neglect to take the rapid antigen test days after arriving in the country. That hefty fine, which was implemented in November, will be enforced, according to the tourism minister, who said they're cracking down on enforcing that travel requirement. Jillian Gray has that.
Visitors and Bahamians who do not take the rapid antigen test 5 days after travel will be fined, according to Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar, who said the COVID enforcement unit has been tasked with tracking those persons down and issuing citations.
There are significant fines in place, so we're going to start to track people down. We're going to start fining people if they don't. And always remember that when you applied for the health visa, you gave us your passport. So we have your contact details, we have your email, we have your passport, so we know who you are, and we're going to aggressively pursue those persons who don't comply.
Over 20,000 people did not take the rapid antigen test 5 days after arriving in the country. The COVID enforcement unit is expected to fine those persons, encourage them to take the test, and issue fines for those who refuse to comply. That fine could be up to $1,000. De Aguilar admitted that there is a problem with enforcement of that requirement, especially on the Family Islands. He said he has been disappointed in the work of public health clinics on the Family Islands as they've been slow with meeting the testing requirement.
In the Family Islands, I've been really disappointed at the rate at which the public health clinics have risen to the occasion to provide this service in the Family Islands. So there are some islands where they're not private sector providers, and we have to rely on the public health clinics. And they've been really slow at offering the service and rolling out the service and making the service available. So we have to see what those impediments are, to work through those impediments, to make it easier for persons to access the test.
In December, hundreds complained about a glitch in the travel visa online portal, which caused a delay in many receiving their travel visa. Though the tourism minister acknowledged there are upgrades needed to the website and the enforcement of the 5-day test must be strengthened, he did defend the travel protocols, stating they are working well.
By and large, it's working well. We processed, just over 50,000 people in the month of December. We had 1 or 2 hiccups, but which I believe have been worked out now. And it's working very smoothly. And I think people are receiving their approvals in under 24 hours, even at the peak times during the Christmas.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jillian Gray.
Despite the government securing about 80,000 vaccines that are expected to arrive in the country by the end of the first quarter, members of the Progressive Liberal Party's COVID-19 task force say the government must be more proactive. George O'Bain reports.
The government needs to get ahead of the game in COVID-19 vaccine securing, according to co-chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party's COVID-19 task force, Dr. Michael Darville, who insists that the government must be proactive and transparent in its efforts.
While they're speaking, other countries are being more aggressive, and we look to the Cayman Islands, we look at our British colonies. They see the need to ensure that they start the vaccinating program in order to protect their economy, because their open economies, just like us, highly reliant on tourism. And it's very important that we start early rather than late, so that we don't find ourselves behind the cue ball and we are actually ahead of the game.
Darville added that sourcing the initial 80,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines is simply not enough.
All of that is very well and good, that we have sourced 80,000 vaccine units from PAHO, and we're waiting on them to reply to us. We're saying we need to go a bit more further. We need to be a bit more aggressive. And I find that the government is very stingy with the information that they're giving the public. If they have reached out to independent groups, maybe they should make it known to us so that we would be in a better position to make a better decision and be able to make better recommendations.
Dr. Linwood Brown called for a public education campaign on the vaccine to encourage Bahamians to actually take the vaccine once it arrives in country.
To what Dr. Darvel said, I don't see the aggressive public education campaign on vaccines because there are a lot of persons are apprehensive of the vaccines, whether it's the safety of it, etc., especially when you're hearing stories coming out of North America and other parts of the world about shocks, anaphylactic shock and deaths after vaccines. And the government has not been doing enough to reassure the public that the vaccine is safe and so how it's going to be rolled out.
Reporting for our News Weekend Edition, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
Bahamas Power and Light is aiming to have LNG introduced into New Providence's energy mix by 2023. That's according to Bahamas Power and Light Chairman Donovan Moxey.
This is extremely beneficial to us in that it reduces our carbon footprint by about 40%, but also it reduces and stabilizes more fully the cost of power, namely the cost of fuels that actually drive creation of power. And so we're working to have first gas by summer 2023.
Shell North America is expected to introduce liquefied natural gas to the Bahamas in a bid to modernize the country's power generation system and bring with it cleaner emissions. Shell will own the LNG company and power production side, while Bahamians will have the opportunity to invest in the developed LNG and power plants. BPL will continue to control transmission and will purchase power from Shell.
The other investment that we're making is really with respect to our gas power implementation. And this is something obviously that everyone's well aware of with our negotiations with Shell North America. And so we're looking to complete Station B, which will be housed right next to Station A by Q3 of 2022.
Police on the island of New Providence are investigating a shooting incident which occurred on Saturday night that resulted in a male being detained in hospital. Preliminary reports are that shortly before 2 p.m., police received reports of a shooting incident on Joe Farrington Road. On the officer's arrival at the scene, inquiries reveal that as a result of a traffic accident, two males got into an altercation. One of the men produced a handgun and shot the other before fleeing the scene. The victim was taken to hospital by a private vehicle. Investigations into this matter continue. In other news, 7 people were arrested in Grand Bahama last night for possession of unlicensed firearms and ammunition. In the first incident, a team of officers entered a home in Hepburn Town, 8 Mile Rock, where they discovered a black Smith & Wesson 9mm pistol with a magazine containing live rounds of ammunition. A male and female who resided at residence were arrested and taken into police custody. In the second incident, a team of officers went to a popular business establishment on Queens Highway in the bonded area. There, they searched a white Toyota Passo and discovered a black .357 Glock pistol with a magazine containing rounds of ammunition. A male and female were arrested and taken into police custody. Officers also, at the same location, searched a red Ford Focus and discovered a black 9mm pistol with a magazine containing rounds of ammunition. Two men, residents of Settlers Way and Hudson Estates were arrested, taken into police custody. Further, a female employee of the business establishment who resides on Abaco Drive, Hawksbill, was arrested after officers discovered a 45mm round of ammunition in the kitchen area. Coming up in our news, the opposition accuses the government of being caught off guard by new CDC testing requirements, plus a popular food pop-up park relocating. Stay with us.
Happy Foods, 242, 242, Happy Foods, 242, food galore just for you. Happy Food, 242, food galore just for you. This ain't no talking show, it's an eating show. Sasha Laurel is the host of Happy Foods, 242, food galore just for you. Happy Foods, 242, food galore.
PLP COVID-19 Task Force co-chair Dr. Michael Darvel doubling down on calls for government to share its plan for COVID-19 vaccine distribution. He said it appears the government is winging it now, particularly after Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar said government is seeking for the Bahamas to get an exemption from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's new requirement that calls for all air travelers entering the United States to get negative COVID-19 tests 3 days prior to travel.
Well, there's no question about it. We were unprepared. Just look at the amount of individuals who went and were not tested. That's a clear indication that protocols are in place and the execution of the protocols are inadequate on the ground in order to accomplish it. Our tourism is down, and we're trying to build our tourism sector, and that's going to happen with the inoculation of the COVID vaccines, and we must be prepared in order to adapt to the protocols.
Darville says the PLP has been calling for more widespread testing since day one. He said looking at the recent spike that occurred on San Salvador, focus needs to be placed on the Family Islands as well.
We already know that there are deficiencies for testing in the Family Islands. We've been calling from day one for more testing, to decentralize the labs, and to ensure that smaller labs have the capability, particularly in our Family Islands, to do testing. And so now you see that there has been an issue in Abaco with the nurses on a sick out. A lot of other Family Islands are in similar position with the smaller clinics. They do not have the capacity, to my understanding, at this particular time. And that's clear because many tourists who were in those islands tried to get the necessary testing and weren't able to do so. It's not that they didn't make an attempt to do the testing at day 5. The infrastructure was not in place to do so.
A popular food pop-up park is on the move, but its co-founder says it's just the start of big things to come.
A lot of people may have heard the news already that the Tinfoil community will be coming to the West on February 5th.
After 10 productive but at times difficult months at the Dundas property, Tinfoil's co-founder Brandon Kemp says the pop-up park has simply outgrown the space.
Over the course of the next few months, our numbers grew to up to 30 different vendors out here on any given day. And as great as that was, we realized that that would have been a bit of a clash with what the Dundas' vision for this property was.
January 31st will be Tinfoil's last day on the Mackey Street property. After that, they'll be located somewhere on Gladstone Road. That location will be officially announced on February 5th, the first day at the new spot.
One of the main things we're able to do at the location, with the amount of space we have, it's a nice paved property, is events. COVID-safe outdoor open air events, but we have the space out there to be able to do the movie nights, the family fairs, really go big with the experience aspect.
Tinfoil, a pop-up park that features various vendors, moved to the Dundas property last March and, despite pandemic restrictions, grew in popularity over the course of the year. It accessed the Gladstone property through the Small Business Development Centre's Access Accelerator. And despite the change of venue, Kemp says the plan is to have multiple locations throughout the island.
But we do have 2 new locations in the east that should be launching within the next 2 or 3 months. So although we'll be leaving the east just to be able to focus on getting our Gladstone Road location up and running and going smoothly, we want to be able to return as soon as possible to be able to service our eastern clientele.
When our news comes back from the break, fitness experts look to inspire in 2021. So stay with us.
Happy Foods, Happy Foods, 242, 242, Happy Foods, 242, food galore just for you. Happy Food, 242, food galore just for you. This ain't no talking show, it's an eating show. Sasha Laurel is the host of Happy Foods, 242, food galore just for you. Happy Foods, 242, food galore.
While some may have already fallen off on their New Year's resolution to get fit, one fitness expert says it's not too late. Donovan Roll of J Fitness says in 2021 it's all about creating the best version of yourself possible. Kyle Joaquin walks us through it.
Feeling a little left behind with your New Year's resolution to get fit? Well, when it comes to your health and overall well-being, Donovan Roll of J Fitness said it's never too late, and to remember your why.
Why did you set that goal? Did you set it because, most people set a gym goal, or do you really want to get it done? Because if you don't really want to, then no need to set that goal. You understand what I'm saying? But if you really want to, you'll find a way. So just get started. Find an accountability partner. Find an environment that's conducive for you. Select a time that you could be more consistent with. So these things are important.
Jay has been in the fitness game for a while now, even competing in triathlons and Ironman competitions. For him, fitness and getting active is more than just a lifestyle, it's a passion.
I've done everything that I've set my mind out to do. If I've seen it and it interests me, I'm going to go after it. So, like you said, triathlons, with straight up to the Ironman, Spartan races, obstacle course races, open water swims, running, just anything crazy, jumping on the airplane. So you name it, I'm going to try it.
Throughout the pandemic, Jay has shifted his focus to more virtual work, getting people moving online.
Got a YouTube page, service culture firm, make sure my digital presence is up there. My LinkedIn page is there, so consistent content now you will see. So just teamwork with, whether it was with Rodney and Trevina, now we're doing the Fit 2 series, I have a YouTube series. So being maximizing the time during the pandemic. So a lot of things have been happening, whether it's being on different people's shows, TK the Brand, Wellington, Blueprint. Shout out to HE Global for the Success Summit. So just the different opportunities to speak at different places.
And now Jay is looking to inspire more people to not just get fit, but pursue their goals with purpose.
Nothing happens by accident. You have to be intentional. So I'm a big fan of planning. What are your goals? Write them down. Aim high. What's the worst happen? You fall short, but you're still going to be at a better place than you are now. So I just go after it, man.
For Our News Weekend, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Jim is on the move. We've got the details after the break.
Happy foods, happy foods, 242, 242, happy foods, 242, food galore just for you. Happy food, 242, food galore just for you. This ain't no talking show, it's an eating show. Sasha Laurel is the host of Happy Foods, 242, food galore just for you. Happy Foods, 242, food galore.
Expansion is the next move for a local gym that is set to become the only fitness facility of its kind in the region. Our News met founder and president of MacFit 360, Jimmy Mackey, at the massive fitness center on Baha Mar Boulevard, set to reopen soon. With 2 levels, indoor and outdoor workout spaces and the swimming pool, Mackey says the facility is designed for the future of fitness.
I know a lot of excitement is around this new facility. It's basically going to be the headquarters of MacFit 360. It's an extension of what we started at Harbor Bay. We're going to be opening soon, so I know a person's like, when is the date, how much does it cost? Those are coming, the details are coming. We just want to make sure everything is in line before we open our doors.
With 1 location already open in the Harbor Bay Shopping Center, how is the new facility different?
It's a little bigger in size because it was built from the ground up. And one of the options are we now have an aquatics area. So we have a pool, and we actually starting our own swim club, which is really good. Swim lessons, the whole 9. We'll have a whole package.
Gyms were closed for much of 2020 due to restrictions under the emergency orders of the pandemic. Since reopening last month, Mackey says his facility has done its part to keep gym goers safe while making the workout experience an enjoyable one.
You have the option of doing classes, or you have that option of just staying in the gym, getting on a cardio machine, using a few pieces of equipment. Now you're free to go. So now it's like, oh wow, it's not what people make it seem to be. It's so much better now.
Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. To catch our news on the go, download the Rev Go Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.